Hello and welcome to tutorial 148, and in this tutorial we're going to be looking at plotting information from a specific column in a specific program into another column in another program. So that sounds a bit complicated. Let me just show you by example. I have three different programs here, one in the purple, one in red, one in yellow. Each program is doing essentially the same thing. It's calculating a value of CCI, and each one has a different length. So the values are different, which is quite simple. But what it's doing is storing that value in a global dictionary. So these three programs storing different values in different global dictionaries. And then what I've got here is a receiver program. And what that program is doing is getting that information out of the global dictionary and plotting it in these three columns here. And all this is in real time. That is to say that the receiver program can't go back and say, what was the value 10 bars ago? No, it can't do that. This is real time. There are ways that you could arrange that it could do that, but this program does not do it. Now, of course, there are way simpler ways of doing what we're doing here. But the purpose of these two programs, the sender and the receiver, is just to demonstrate how you can use the global dictionary. And global dictionary, that now comes with TradeStation. So you don't need to use something like the global variable, which works, I find, really well. But this thing is built into TradeStation. So what I'm going to do is just look at the sender program to start with, and then the receiver. So the sender, we've got a couple of namespaces declared, and then we in the inputs we have the price, the length, and then we have a couple of variables that you can change, the share ref and the key ref, which we'll talk about more later. And then the variables, we have the global dictionary itself, which we're calling a rad global. We have the CCI value, and we have a string called key. Now what I'm doing, this is made up of the row number in RadarScreen plus the key ref. So the key will be the whatever row it is, 1, 2, 3, 4, as a string, plus key ref, and that's something that you're going to create as a input. And then also share name. And what I've done with the share name, I'm creating a different one per row, again by taking the row number, converting it to a string, and then adding this extra string, which is also a input. And in this case, share ref is send1. So in the program, we create the global dictionary once. Now what I'm doing is, you'll see there's a couple of inputs here, and what you can do to understand more about this is if you right click on this and look at the definition, you'll see more information. But I'm setting this to true, and I'm setting the share name as I've just explained how we're making the share name. Having done that, we calculate the CCI, very simple. And then what we simply do here is we use the contains method. So let's just have a look at that. Definition of something contains. And if you click on methods, you'll see we've got various methods here. We're using the contains key. So what this is doing is looking at the dictionary and saying, is there an element with the specified key? And we're saying if there is an element with the specified key, then we're going to set the value, set that element equal to the CCI val. If, however, we have not created, so this will happen the first time this runs. If we already have a key there in the dictionary, then we're just going to set the value to CCI value using .add, the add method. And then we're plotting the CCI value. So that's really as simple as it gets. And just going back to the radar screen, you can see here is plotting that value and updating that value. The market's not open at the moment, but it's plotting that value. And we have three separate programs applied. Okay, so let's look at the receiver, and little more complicated than the sender, but not too much. Declare the namespaces. In terms of inputs, we've got the share reference, and then we've got 3 values we've called key ref 1, 2, and 3. And then in the variables, we've got the global dictionary, and then we create some strings, or rather we create some keys which are strings based on the row and the key ref, and that's how we're going to get the values from the 3 different programs. And then the share name, we're also going to be using different share names. So again, we're converting the row number into a string, and then we're adding to that the share ref. So let's go to the once statement. And in the once statement, we're creating the global dictionary. Again, we're setting the first value to be true, then the share name. And the share name, as we've just looked at up here, is going to be different for each row, because the share name is going to be based on the row number and then the share ref. And having done that, we've also got 2 different events. We've got the item added and the item changed that we're setting up here. And then as far as plotting the values, we've created a simple method here that does the plot. We're just basically saying if there is such a value that we're looking for, referencing the key in the dictionary, then we're going to plot it. And then we call that plot in the program, so that's going to happen per tick. And also we call that in the item added event and in the item changed event. As you can see here, just simply the those events with just the plots, calling the plots method. So how does this work? Well, if you remember in the sender, for each row we are putting making sure there is a value in the dictionary with the key reference, and we're also creating the instance, the share value of the dictionary based on the number, the row number, and the share ref. And the share ref in this example is col1, but in the others, if we look at these and we go and look at the inputs, we've got col1, col2, and col3. And so what's happening in the receiver, we're also going to be calling looking for col1, col2, and col3 as inputs, and we're going to be retrieving the information from the dictionary using those. So I think this is a simple example, probably somewhat meaningless in itself, but potentially you could use this in your own programs. Anyway, I hope you find this useful.